This rhinoceros found itself far from its natural habitat and decided to test the strength of its new neighbors. It swiftly and directly attacks the bison. The 3-ton armored beast outweighs the horned mammal by more than 3 times in terms of mass. However, if it thought that the bison would panic and flee at the sight of the attacking rhinoceros alone, it was mistaken. The bull practically ignored the enemy until the rhinoceros approached closely. The giant was not expecting this and hesitated, and when it finally decided to attack, the bison immediately fought back and struck it with its horns. The rhinoceros panicked and fled. If the opponents had collided seriously, the more massive beast would have had a clear advantage, but sometimes strength of character plays a more important role than brute power. Today we will show you other impressive cases in which different species of bulls made it clear to their opponents just who's in charge. In Asia, there are several quite different species of bulls. One of them is called the Gaur. These are impressive animals often referred to as Indian bison, although they resemble African buffalo a little bit more. Gaurs have massive curved and sharp horns of a considerable length, a short muzzle, but most striking is their powerful musculature. The Gaur literally looks like a mountain of muscles. Here, these bulls settle disputes and fight for females and leadership. The fight begins with a head-on attack from both opponents. They fiercely clash heads and try to overpower each other. Gaurs simultaneously use brute force for ramming attacks and sharp, precise horn strikes to trap the opponent, force them to move aside, and inflict wounds with the sharp tips of their horns on the neck, muscle, and chest. The two bulls employ slightly different tactics. The one on the left lowers its head, providing greater stability. The Gaur pressing from the right constantly pressures, trying to break through the enemy's defense and pounce on them from above. It may seem that the opponents are equal, and the left buffalo uses the lower center of gravity more effectively, having a decent chance of winning. But in reality, it is the right bull that has the advantage. It acts more actively, ferociously, and its short horn strikes are more dangerous. The opponent already regretted clashing with this impressively strong creature. The height at the shoulders of this monster reaches almost 8 feet, about 2.5 meters, and the weight can exceed 1.5 tons. And most of this huge mass consists of powerful elastic muscles that exert tremendous force. These living bulldozers are resolute and uncompromising. It's surprising and worthy of respect that the person who accidentally witnessed the showdown between these two hoofed giants didn't run away, but captured an amazing episode on camera. The bull, who was on the left, finally realized that he had made a mistake in choosing his opponent. He chose a moment and tried to escape, but wasn't fast enough. The enraged opponent caught him, hooking his hind leg with the curved horn. No matter how massive and powerful the defeated Gaur was, his enemy managed to lift almost effortlessly his hindquarters off the ground. This situation is dangerous also because the blow came close to the genitals and soft abdomen. He clearly picked the wrong bull, and now deeply regrets it. In addition to Gaurs, Zebus are widespread in Asia. This is another type of bulls that differs significantly in appearance. Here, both species have clashed in battle. As you can see, Zebus also have impressive dimensions, but their bodies have several differences. Zebus have a less muscular body, but they have an impressive hump at their withers. Most likely, it serves the same purpose as the camel's hump. That is, Zebus accumulate fat deposits there, which can serve as reserves for the hoofed animal's body in difficult times. Zebus are incredibly enduring, resilient, and have very strong health. They freely crossbreed with European cows. They're hybrids, which inherit the farming virtues of European breeds, large quantities of milk and tender meat. And Zebus, resilience and strength, have become popular worldwide, especially in Africa and the New World. By the way, if you would like to learn more about the most amazing cow breeds in a separate video, let us know about this in the comments underneath this video. However, endurance and strength are different things. The Zebu made a serious mistake when it tangled with this Gaur. The much stronger wild Asian buffalo easily repelled the opponent's attacks, cornered the less agile hoofed animal, and delivered masterful strikes with its longer horns. The Zebu was shocked by such pressure. The sharp tips of the opponent's horns flashed before its eyes constantly. It was difficult to avoid fatal blows to the throat. Of course, the Zebu held its ground quite well. This fighter managed to corner the Gaur for a while, but the wild buffalo seemed to be just having fun when retreating. Eventually, he got tired of these games and the Gaur launched a swift attack. He showed who was the toughest one here. Under his crushing pressure, the Zebu was helpless. The Zebu tangled with the wrong bull, one that couldn't be easily defeated. The Gaur nobly didn't finish off the enemy, but showed who the real winner was. He demonstrated amazing skill and strength, pretty deserving of your like, I would say, don't you think? Using the tactic of a sudden ambush, the Lioness managed to catch a huge buffalo. Her skill is impressive. The weight difference between the panther and the hoofed animal is approximately fourfold, but the Lioness put all her weight into the blow, swiftly attacked, and brought down the adult, seasoned bull. However, the panther underestimated the resilience and strength of its opponent. She hung on his neck and didn't allow the hoofed animal to stand up at all. However, the bull is alive. Moreover, it has avoided serious injuries. Contrary to the common myth, lionesses rarely open the throats of their prey during hunts, and even more rarely sever large arteries on the prey's neck. Instead, most panthers prefer strangulation. With their long fangs, they cut off the oxygen supply through the trachea, gradually suffocating the victim. This is certainly an effective hunting tactic, especially when dealing with such a formidable opponent as the buffalo, which has very powerful muscles protecting its vessels and internal organs. But at the same time, there is one caveat. Strangling such a large and strong beast is not only difficult, but also requires some time. More often than not, when lionesses attack hoofed animals, the other members of the herd scatter in different directions and simply abandon their kin. Glad that this time it's not them, but another animal caught. But here, everything went according to a completely different scenario. Buffaloes have true cohesion and know how to act together to save their own kind. They protect not only their offspring, but also any member of their herd. Therefore, before the astonished lioness's eyes, the other buffaloes not only quickly recovered from the fright caused by her sudden appearance, but also went on the offensive. It may seem that they are somewhat hesitant and do not immediately counterattack the enemy, but there is a reason for this. It seems like they are checking if their kin is alive at all. After all, if the lioness has already dealt with it, attacking her would mean risking in vain. So the bulls approach closer and observe the situation. They seem to be testing the strength of their relative. And he doesn't disappoint them. The bull not only survived, but also resists. It pulls its neck away and makes the lioness's grip uncomfortable, causing her fangs to gradually slide from the vulnerable point on the hoofed animal's throat. It's still struggling to breathe, but the panther won't be able to finish off the prey definitively. The bulls understand that their comrade may not have completely defeated the enemy, but has shown its strength. Only after that do they come to its aid and attack the predatory cat. She wisely loosens her grip and releases the prey. She has to flee as quickly as possible because the buffaloes are ready to surround and trample the enemy. The panther chose the wrong bull as its victim. This horned beast turned out to be too strong of an opponent. But at least she was lucky to escape with her paws and remain intact after encountering such a herd. Believe me, that's already a lot. This cohesion and mutual aid of the bulls surely deserves your like, I would say, doesn't it? An enraged lion charges at an African buffalo, but the predator underestimated the courage of its hoofed opponent. Perhaps the lion wanted to induce panic among the bulls, after which it would have been possible to knock one of them down with a powerful blow and sink its teeth into the throat while the fallen buffalo's kin fled. However, the plan suddenly failed right from the start, when the hoofed animals demonstrated a resolute resistance. Contrary to the expectations of one of the most intimidating and powerful terrestrial predators on the planet, the bulls did not turn their backs and flee, but instead exposed their sharp horns to the enemy. The lion stopped in astonishment and stared at the hoofed animals, because he was used to his attacks causing real panic among the herbivores. But these bulls showed that they wouldn't give up so easily. So the lion decided to use a tactic of maneuvering confrontation. The predator would make short attacks on the hoofed animals from different sides to agitate them and turn them into fleeing. But the lion shouldn't have lingered when he realized the hoofed animals were ready to fight. The buffaloes had no intention of playing with the opponent and immediately launched a mass offensive. The predator didn't expect such a turn of events. It just climbed a tree, thinking the herd would just pass by. And as you can understand, the lion was greatly mistaken. Irritated buffaloes surrounded the tree where the predator hid from their anger. The lion is in shock. The unpredictable hoofed animals have once again completely taken control of the situation and seized the initiative in this confrontation. Moreover, the panther has serious problems with the place it chose for shelter. Like other felines, lions possess amazing agility and flexibility. Their claws retract, allowing predators to maintain the sharpness of this weapon. So sometimes lions climb trees, but only in rare cases for a short time, and certainly not on such slender trunks. The lion is simply too big for this tree to sustain its weight for long. The predator simply doesn't fit on its trunk. And if the lion falls, it will collapse either onto the horns or right under the feet of its enemies. It turns out the lion has trapped itself. You've got to agree, watching this scene is pretty amusing. The panther tries to climb higher to assume a more comfortable body position, but it's constantly balancing and exerting effort to avoid falling down. The bulls are amused, waiting for the opponent's mistake. It seems they're even teasing it, ready to warmly welcome the enemy. The lion might have a chance in one-on-one standoff against a young buffalo, but the predator won't cope with that number of enraged, mighty horned beasts. It understands that, so it does everything to avoid falling down. Rising up high enough, it struggles to balance at the lower part of the crown, but then turns around to descend. It looks really awkward. The lion slides along the trunk, trying to hold on and not fall down. The bulls have already backed off, allowing the opponent to hide and watching it gasp. This situation irritates the panther. Eventually, the lion manages to descend muzzle down and jump off. It lunges at the bulls, which scatter, but not far. Soon, they turn around. It's hard to say if the lion can feel awkwardness and shame from showing weakness, but for one reason or another, it doesn't go far and moves sideways to block itself off with the fallen tree trunk from the herd. And this is what saved it. The bulls didn't retreat far and instead showed the enemy that this was now their territory, not its hunting grounds. The predator deserves credit here. It's quite brave and tries to resist. Holding itself up on its hind legs thanks to the trunk, it repels the advancing buffalo and even delivers a painful blow to its face with its clawed paw. But the hoofed animal isn't particularly impressed by this. It's clearly too lazy to continue the fight. It and its kin have taught the enemy a lesson and shown the lion that attacking their hoofed family alone is not worth it. The predator should learn the lesson if it wants to survive. Next time, it might not be so lucky with shelter. From an aggressive attacking predator, it has turned into a defensive and barely surviving beast, first driven into an uncomfortable position, and then nearly trampled. This means victory for the bulls. This is one of the most famous scenes of bulls repelling their predatory enemies ever captured on camera. The lioness caught the buffalo and even managed to throw it off balance with a stunning attack. She strangles it, squeezing its trachea with her jaws. But if the predatory cat thought that the other members of this herd would abandon their kin and run away, then she was mistaken. With the charge, an enraged bull rams the lioness, and with the powerful blow, he takes the predatory cat by the horns and not only forces her to release her grip, but also lifts her off the ground, tossing her high over his head. And the force of the impact was so immense that the lioness sharply soared and even did a somersault before crashing to the ground. However, there is one detail that makes this scene even more impressive. Upon replay, it's evident that the bull delivered his devastating blow not randomly, but precisely aimed at the fold of skin between the hind leg and the body of the predatory cat. This allowed him to easily lift the entire body of the lioness into the air and then literally wrap her around his horn. Fortunately for her, the thin skin in that area of the predator held. Otherwise, the experienced bull would have simply gutted the enemy. But the stunning force of the attack, combined with the skill and lightning-fast reaction of the hoofed animal, certainly panicked the lioness into fleeing. She simply tangled with the wrong opponent. The buffalo swiftly ascends a steep slope. The hoofed animal is far from the safest position in terms of security, but on both sides it is surrounded by high slopes, which can be an ideal place for a predator's attack. Indeed, a lioness is watching the buffalo's approach. This is a large and powerful predatory cat, weighing as much as a heavyweight boxer, but far surpassing any human in physical strength. Moreover, the lioness can pounce on prey with lightning speed, has sharpened reflexes, and is armed with sharp claws and powerful jaws with long fangs. But even with such a cool arsenal of abilities, she dares not attack the bull one-on-one and retreats. The mighty and aggressive herbivorous beast would simply gut her with his horns or just trample her. So the lioness retreats, as she is here without the support of her own tribe. Meanwhile, the horned animal has already climbed the hill and is running determinedly toward the nearest bushes. The bull didn't come here by chance. It seems that this lioness has greatly angered him, possibly by attacking her calf. The bull has come to seek revenge. Surprisingly, he has tracked down the lioness's den, where its little cubs were hiding. And when the lion cubs become somewhat larger and more independent, they are all raised by all members of the pride. But initially, the mother arranges a den for them deep within the native territory. The huge buffalo charges and tries to trample the helpless lion cubs. You wouldn't expect this from a formidable yet herbivorous animal now, would you? The cubs panic and dash out of the bushes, and the enraged hoofed animal pursues them to fulfill its intent. The lioness can only watch this terrifying scene. Fortunately, fear has given the cubs strength, and they manage to break free from the horned monster. Some believe that the thirst for vengeance is too complex an emotion for animals, especially herbivores. But notice that the bull didn't just attack random lion cubs that happened to catch its eye. The hoofed animal deliberately tracked down the enemy's den to strike at its offspring. Although the cubs managed to escape, it's a clear sign that she is tangled with an enemy whose wrath cannot be ignored. Now the lioness will have to find a new shelter for her cubs. What do you think? Is this really a planned revenge or just a random outburst of rage from the hoofed animal towards its enemies? Let us know your opinion in the comments underneath this video. Even a single African buffalo is an incredibly powerful fighter. But here, there are several hundred of them. Each member of this herd is an excellent fighter. Together, they form a true hoofed army. The camera captured an impressive scene of these buffaloes approaching the river. It's breathtaking to see these mighty beasts acting together, moving like a living wave, ready to sweep everything in their path. But they didn't come for water. The herd of enraged bulls attacked the lion pride here. No matter how mighty and fierce the lions may be, against such incredible force, they could be nothing. Most likely, the lions had a chance to escape, but they thought that the herbivores wouldn't dare to attack them head-on. Usually, when dangerous and powerful herbivores approach, lions take a wait-and-see position. Most likely, they deliberately came to the shore to cut off the retreat. Big mistake. The lions should have retreated at the first signs of the buffalo's approach. Perhaps these bulls decided to settle old scores? Or did they want to deliver a preemptive strike? It's hard to say, but it's obvious that their attack was incredibly swift, and after successfully surrounding them, the lions really had no chance whatsoever. It was a sentence, as the cats didn't have time to jump into the water to escape. The black avalanche of hooves literally engulfed the group of several adult panthers. Do you see that cloud of dust rising above the herd? This is the scene of a terrible massacre. We don't see the details of the slaughter, but we can easily imagine how the mighty horned fighters fully exploit their size and brute strength advantage. The lions surely tried to defend themselves and flee, but the buffaloes trapped their enemies and won't let them go until the very end. During this terrible slaughter, the buffaloes mainly used their hooves. They rammed from different sides, knocking the lions to the ground, preventing them from regaining their balance, and then pounced on the defeated enemies, trampling them. The buffaloes literally pulverized their enemies, striking their heads, paws, and bodies. It looked incredibly intimidating and epic, doesn't it? In Africa, many hoofed animals gather in family groups as well as herds of different sizes. Antelopes, wildebeests, and zebras can form incredibly large and huge herds numbering several thousand adult individuals. But they would never dare to attack predators first. This is different with buffaloes. These hoofed animals are not only impressive in size, but also have an untamed nature and furious ferocity. But this is far from over. At some point, the buffaloes part, and we see the conclusion of the battle. The buffaloes aren't going to let their enemies go. They simply realized that the lions, stunned by the attack, won't be able to escape. So the bulls spread out, with some of them gaining momentum for the final blows. Suddenly, the lions start literally flying over the herd. The buffaloes put their horns to use. They attack the panthers on the run, putting all the power of their bodies into each terrifying blow. The lion, weighing about 1/4 of a ton, somersaults and crashes to the ground, only to be lifted again by the horns for another short flight. It seems like the buffaloes are playing with the enemy, even competing to see who can launch the lion higher or make the predator's broken body perform the most impressive somersault in the air. The sharp horns inflict terrible injuries on the predators, but the main thing is the penetrating effect of such attacks. The cat suffers multiple fractures and injuries to the spine, the skull, and the limbs. Sharp rig fragments have long punctured the lungs and heart. Other organs are just mush now. It's like being hit by a bus. These predators won't leave here alive. This retribution looks very cruel and brutal, but it's essential to consider that a dangerous and skilled predator like a lion is the main threat to both young African buffalo and mature bulls. Therefore, such an impressive and uncompromising attack is not an expression of cruelty, but an attempt to protect their family and the entire herd from future problems with predators. What do you think of this situation? Are the buffaloes too bloodthirsty? And do you feel sympathy towards the lions? Or are you glad that the hoofed animals managed to get rid of such a dangerous enemy? Let us know your opinion in the comments underneath this video. We're genuinely interested. If you think this is the only such case, you're mistaken. Here's another episode in which a herd of buffaloes managed to trap a lioness, surrounded her, beat her, and sent her flying. This seems to be becoming a favorite sport for these hoofed fighters. However, this buffalo doesn't act very sportingly. It noticed the lioness lying down to rest. The cat is peacefully asleep, unaware that she's been chosen as the target for an attack. Here, in the center of her pride's territory, she's safe from hyena attacks and assaults from outsider lions. But she didn't expect an attack from an herbivorous hoofed animal. The lioness is used to considering them nothing more than prey, and she's wrong. Relaxing when these mighty hoofed animals are nearby is not advisable. Just look at how the bull froze when it saw the sleeping lioness. It's as if a sweet-toothed child walked into the kitchen and saw a freshly baked cake. For the bull, this is a stroke of luck. It cautiously approaches the enemy. Of course, bulls aren't adept at stalking and ambushing, as they're not predators but herbivores. But it seems this buffalo has a talent. It managed to approach the lioness within striking distance, gain momentum, and pounce on her. The cat, half asleep, didn't understand what was happening, but instinctively tried to resist this fearsome enemy. She leaped backward, and when the bull caught up and literally smashed her into the ground, the cat unleashed her claws. She dug them into the buffalo, but this was a mistake. A sharp, short, and powerful lunge sent that cat flying. Of course, the bull didn't manage to toss the predatory cat particularly high, but only because of the awkward position. The bull was able to toss her over itself like an experienced judo fighter. But the funniest part of this is that the hoofed animal didn't intend to continue the fight. It simply taught the lioness a lesson and showed her who's actually in charge. Two cunning lions attacked a herd of buffaloes. The predatory cats caught a calf, which had wandered too far away from its parents and other adults. The herd didn't manage to come to the calf's aid when the huge lions brought it down, suffocated it with their fangs, and easily immobilized it with their powerful clawed paws. But the buffaloes noticed something amiss, and the mother set out to save her offspring. She could count on the herd's help, but, of course, only to a moderate extent. Buffaloes resemble stereotypical bodybuilders of the wild world. Huge, muscular, and powerful, these animals seem pretty straightforward. Their aggressive nature is also well known. However, they are intelligent and loyal hoofed animals that try to help their kind at the earliest opportunity. Analyzing the behavior of these remarkable animals suggests an ability to plan. Here, they understand that the calf could be maimed or fatally injured. Therefore, only the calf's mother risks herself in battle for the offspring. The other adults have chosen an interesting line of behavior. They cover the female's rear and are ready to resist the lions if they rush on her into a swift attack. However, the other buffaloes are not going to risk themselves to rescue the calf. It all depends on the calf's mother, as it is her responsibility. A pretty sensible approach, isn't it? Alas, the female approaches the enemies who have her treasure. The situation looks very tense. The lion is ready to fight, but behind one buffalo there are many other horned animals. They keep their distance, but make it clear to the predator with their entire demeanor that their confrontation is dangerous. The female understands that her calf is still alive. She sees that the calf's chest is rising and falling rapidly. He's breathing. Right now. Moreover, although the lion is pressing the prey to the ground, he's not holding the calf's throat in his jaws, meaning the young hoofed animal can still breathe. However, the lion is biting and pulling the calf by the back, so perhaps the calf's spine is already damaged. Then the mother realizes that this is her last chance. The female understood this and launched a swift head-on attack. The further development of events shocked the lion most of all. The buffalo lowered its head and hooked its own calf with its horns, then sharply tossed it up and flung it back right towards its kin. The lion looked stunned at what had happened and didn't know how to react. It avoided a terrible blow that could have broken its neck, but lost its meal. In the end, the cat just lay there, still and bewildered, staring at its opponents. Do you think this blow was part of a desperate plan to rescue and evacuate from the predator's clutches? Or was it a sad accident, and the female was trying to strike the lion, but accidentally caught her calf? After all, the buffalo attacked blindly, as her own horns hindered her. Let us know your opinion in the comments. The female started licking her calf and gently nudging its belly, as if simultaneously asking for forgiveness and trying to revive it. Let's hope he survived and will fully recover from that injury. This deer made a mistake in choosing an opponent when it decided to attack the bison. The huge bull watches the opponent quite calmly, and outwardly it's not immediately clear who is truly the strongest just among them. The deer surpasses the opponent in height at the withers, and its branching antlers looked much more impressive and dangerous than the bull's short, upward-curving horns. But the bison isn't afraid of the aggressor, and there are reasons for that. Although the deer is a large and muscular animal, it is inferior to the bison in mass and strength. On the contrary, the bison could easily knock the deer off its feet and break its legs. However, an attack by an enraged deer is just a simple pastime for the bison to dispel boredom. The bull restrains itself and plays with its opponent. Notice that it doesn't take a powerful run-up, ram, or maneuver, but merely responds with short attacks, during which it only demonstrates a fraction of its strength. Even so, it convincingly emerges victorious. Being more than 1.5 times more massive than the deer, the bison effortlessly throws the opponent aside without exerting much force. But then it slows down to give the deer a chance to retreat. The deer didn't immediately realize who the toughest one was and still tried to continue the confrontation, but the bison instantly took the initiative and simply chased away the disheartened opponent with such force. The bison is steadfast, like a small, living, furry rock. Finally, after playing enough, the bull releases its opponent, and the aggressor seizes the opportunity and retreats while the bison drives it away, although it clearly doesn't seriously attempt to catch up. The deer was lucky that the bison let it go. When this bull was released into the paddock, it immediately began seeking adventure. Just look at how confidently this hoofed fighter surveys the new territory. The bull found a worthy opponent in the stallion here. Horses are considered relatively peaceful animals, but young stallions have unexpectedly tough and stubborn temperaments. They can attack other herbivores, and in the wild, they resist predators and can even inflict fatal injuries on fairly large opponents. In battle, stallions use devastating hoof strikes, powerful ramming attacks, and bites. And this beautiful and mighty beast wants to deploy its entire arsenal to show the horned one just who is boss here. But tangling with the bull was a big mistake. Although the horse is much taller and more maneuverable, the bull's reaction speed was top-notch. Speed is crucial in this standoff. It seems like the horse has an undeniable advantage here, but the bull suddenly demonstrates astonishing reaction speed and agility. It's capable of almost instantly turning on the spot, taking a powerful run-up, and timely reacting to the enemy's next attack. The horse constantly circles, makes trial attacks, rushes at the enemy, but recoils from it like a tidal wave from a rock. The bull makes no unnecessary movements and doesn't waste energy. It attacks sparingly, but extremely powerfully and genuinely dangerously. Although the stallion is large and tall, the powerful musculature makes the bull about a quarter more massive, giving it a significant advantage in raw physical strength. Ultimately, the bull began driving the opponent around the pen. After several minutes of battle, it completely seized the initiative in the fight, and at the perfect moment launched a swift counterattack, which was supposed to be decisive. However, credit must be given to the horse. It holds up great. Their duel resembles a dance. The opponents clashed several times, then parted and gathered momentum for a new attack. They circled, raising clouds of dust and sand. In the end, both animals remained alive and even managed to avoid serious injuries. Pretty great, isn't it? But the bull is definitely the most advantageous among the two, demonstrating what it's capable of. Do you agree with this assessment of the outcome of this impressive and famous battle? Let us know your opinion in the comments section. And don't forget to let us know if you would like us to make a standalone video about horses. Bull battles look incredibly impressive. Here, the horned aggressor made a mistake when attacking a calm but mighty and very strong male. Not only did he withstand the attack, but he also began to overpower the opponent. A series of short blows led to an unexpected turn of events, and the animals got entangled with their horns. The aggressor got hooked on the tip of the opponent's horn, and the more powerful bull twisted the opponent's neck, bringing him down to the ground. The victor began to pull the opponent towards him. Meanwhile, another bull inadvertently helped the fallen one to rise by kicking him with his horns, albeit causing pain. Finally, the aggressor freed himself from the unexpected trap and fled. And he definitely won't be picking another fight with this group of hoofed animals again. African buffaloes use the head-on attack as their main weapon during such battles for leadership in the herd and the attention of females. Essentially, bulls butt heads like many other horned hoofed animals. But when such mighty giants weighing close to a ton engage in this manner, it looks especially epic and cool. Moreover, the variety of moves and tactics is much greater than you might think. Buffaloes combine boldness, aggression, and force with subtle calculation and intelligence. Here, two opponents engaged in a tense clash right in the middle of the herd. Mighty beasts raise entire clouds of dust. The main weapon used is the horns, of course. Their massive and thick bases are used as hammers or rams. But the sharp tips and the overall quite impressive length also play an important role. During clashes, buffaloes deliver devastating frontal blows, then start shaking their heads and try to either trap the opponent's horn or scratch the opponent's muzzle with the tip. The battle looks incredibly brutal. The buffaloes seem to fence, delivering cruel blows to each other, attempting to slash the neck and gouge out the opponent's eyes. Several times, the visual organs of both hoofed animals are truly in danger, but the shape of the horns allows them to fend off the threatening blows with short head movements. But dealing with the throat is more complicated. One of the buffaloes managed to catch the opponent off guard and attacked his neck with his horns. The force of the blow was incredible, and the pain truly made the bull bellow. But his skin, which bore deep and frightening grooves and scars, nevertheless held up. Although the pain from such blows was wild, the large blood vessels remained intact. In response to being attacked with this move, the bull did something his opponent never expected. The bull, who had just tried to expose the opponent's throat, felt a dreadful blow from the side. He had engaged with the wrong bull, one that couldn't be defeated in such a manner. Thus, he fully avenged the one who had nearly taken his life just moments ago. However, in the end, both opponents parted ways. They inflicted painful wounds on each other, but remained alive and avoided critical injuries to their bodies. Any injuries were only superficial, and there is no doubt that such fierce and strong beasts will soon fully recover. Which of today's cases in which bulls demonstrated its unstoppable strength impressed you the most? Let us know your opinion in the comments underneath this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be the first to see new amazing stories about various species of animals on our planet.